G'day, Josh here, and I'm in the middle of a chess rush game against bots. I've been specifically losing so that I can actually maximize my economy so I can give you a guide on positioning, and somehow one of the bots is actually doing worse than me in terms of their health, even though I've been trying to lose as much as I can. But we're going to start to turn that around now. You can see that I'm currently taking up corner position. We are matched up against a bot that has a ton of 2-stars, so we're probably not going to win this because in the early game, generally the player with the most 2-star heroes on the board just wins the battles. But as the game progresses to later stages and at the very start, before there's too many 2-stars on the board, positioning is really, really important. And one of the things you can actually do with your positioning is if you click on the scroll in the bottom right and you click recommended lineup, there's two tabs. There's a recommended lineup, there's also recommended formation, and we've just skipped over that, so we'll try and go back into there. Recommended formation, and you can actually choose, there's various formations here depending on what sort of format you're going for. So currently, let's go turtle mode because I'm protecting a couple of DPS units, which means that they put out a fair bit of damage, but they're actually quite squishy. Or their source, these guys at the back edge, you don't do a ton of damage if they have useful abilities. But this assassin, I actually want this assassin on the back line. You can see that Lilith has the assassin class there, and if she's on the back line, she will actually jump to the opponent's back line, but one of their assassins actually beats her, so they jump to my back line, so she's actually engaged with that assassin. But if we do kill that assassin, there we go, you see her jump to the back line up there. So putting assassins on your back line so they jump to the opposing person's back line can be really useful. I'm just going to grab these while we're waiting, and that demon too. And we've got tons, so we might actually level up there as well. Now, this is a really interesting one. The Firewalls, let me just take that 2-star there, and the 2-star there, and that Calamity. The Firewalls are all assassins. They all jump to the back line. So if you don't necessarily have the strongest heroes, strongest build at this stage, chuck all of your weaker units to the front, including your assassins, and have your stronger units behind. So something like that'll work reasonably well. That'll do. And when those wolves jump to the back, they won't actually be taking out your sorcerers or your goblins or any of your non-tanky units. They'll just be facing up against your tanks. You can take them out and then sort out your positioning. So that's they come in round 15 when you're playing classic mode, and I think it's round 10 in turbo mode. So that's one to keep in mind. We've got some items there we'll have to equip shortly as well. Nothing else in the store, but I am going to play out a little bit more of this game, get my builds happening. You can see that we're working towards Punishers with a Warlock secondary combo. So we're getting pretty close to getting a really solid build on the board. I might actually spin a couple of times, see if there's anything that comes out. There we go, 2-star Famine, and we will level up, or get closer to leveling up again. So now I need to fix my composition. So let's go ahead and once again go recommended lineup. I'm going to use what should we do? Let's go the goat's horn formation at this point in time. My assassin is on the back line, but I will just move her out a little bit. And as you progress with the game, the more you play, the more you'll get comfortable with the positions, the units, and where you want them, depending on what your current build is and what you're trying to do. You see we get absolutely wrecked there. So at this point in time, using the recommended formation is a really handy tool, but definitely don't be afraid to dive in and learn how to do it yourself, because in the long run, you want to be controlling that aspect of the game yourself to maximize exactly what you're getting out of it. So I am actually going to level up, go a little bit under 50 gold, just so I can get that hunter out there. And how are we going to readjust here? We're going to do that. We're going to do that. I don't really want her on the front line. We'll do that. That way if an assassin jumps in that hole, they're going to be completely surrounded. Otherwise, she'll jump to the other back line. I think he actually has more health than her, so we'll swap that over and we'll see how these two little corner formations, it's a little bit of a defensive formation. We'll see how that can hold up. Now, obviously, positioning depends a lot on the exact units that you have. And as I sort of talk through some of these, I'm going to bring up some captured content which should appear just up here from other games that I've played, that I've recorded, and give you a really good idea of some useful formations. You can sort of, once again, if we jump back into the recommended formation, you can get an overview. This one here is quite good if you've got a lot of tanky units that you want to engage as quick as possible. Ooh, that misfortune. Yes, please. I'm going to replace her. I'm going to take a demon out. Probably him, because that'll max out my warlock combo and give me undead combo, which is really strong. So we're looking really, really good now. And then we'll just chuck... do I have Calamity on the field? I don't think so. I'll probably replace Famine with Calamity once I get Calamity to 2-star, and then we're just going to get Scourge and one more Demon out there, and that will be the final build. And once I get a few more 2-stars, I will actually adjust the current positioning as well. So if we jump back into the recommended lineup, that one is quite good if you have a lot of tanky units that you want to engage as quickly as possible. This is kind of similar, but maybe you got a few squishy targets you want to protect against the back line, and this will kind of entice your opponent's enemies in towards you so you can surround them. So that's kind of like a good middle position. You've also got this one here, which is, this is really good against sorcerers because not all of your units are in one position on the board. They're kind of separated. So if there's a sorcerer that casts a big area of effect spell, it's not going to hit all of your heroes. Turtle is really good to protect lots of squishy, soft or low health heroes that produce tons of damage. So if you don't have too many tanks, you can protect them in that sort of way. And then this is kind of an interesting one as well. Sometimes I'll use this up against the front line if I've got a bunch of tanky units to try and, ooh, that's a nice unit to pick up there, just to try and have undead. No, we're not going for that, so we'll skip past him, even though he is a legendary. What was it called? They call it fish scale? Yeah, the fish scale one, once again, it kind of disperses your units, but kind of still keeps that strong front line. So you're avoiding the sorcerers, the area of effect spells, but you're still engaging with the opponent quite quickly because everyone's spread out in a single or 2-line formation as opposed to being at the back of the board in a corner, all short, tortoise-shelled up, as they say. So let's go ahead and equip some of these items. He's a massive damage output machine, so let's equip those to him. And we don't have any defensive heroes at the moment, so is there anyone out there? I'll probably end up putting the defensive armor on Calamity when he's on the board. Let's go ahead and continue spinning. We definitely want him, so we'll grab both of him and we'll chuck one into leveling as well. We got some more equipment, fantastic. So what are we currently on? I haven't been playing. We're actually on a 3-win streak all of a sudden. So that positioning is working out quite nicely for us. Now, I've had some interesting games recently against sorcerers, against riders, against various builds, various compositions. And when you get down to the final 2, as I'm hoping I will in this game, but I might actually have to skip through a part of it and get to the end, because the middle portion of this will probably be quite boring. So once I finish talking about positioning, I will skip to the end and give you an idea of what it looks like when it's just you versus one other opponent, as you get to see their pieces as well, because you know you're going to be matched up with them every time, and it helps a lot in terms of figuring out exactly where you want to position your pieces. So let's continue spinning and looking for pieces that I need, spending everything above 50. I'm not worried about getting 3-star heroes at this point in time, just looking to 2-star everything. Against these bots, the actual power of my composition will do the rest of the work. I might actually start putting excess towards getting to level 9. Be nice to find a few more misfortunes, and the higher the level, the higher the odds of me rolling epics are. So I will start to level soon as well. It might be worth actually replacing someone. Maybe I'll replace my assassin. I'll take Lilith back out now. I'll drop misfortune down there. And because Scourge can be quite powerful as a 2-star unit, and I don't actually have any other assassins, so I'm not going for an assassin type build. If I actually get the execution to level 2, he'll be the next demon that goes in for sure. We do face a level 3 Unicorn Cavalier. Now, something that I want to raise before our next battle is a specific piece that I'm using in this composition. And her ability, her ultimate, or it's actually a passive ability, but it's really important in terms of positioning. So let's just put 3 more level. There we go. All right. So Nightingale, she is an elf punisher, and her passive ability, each attack deals X amount of true damage, depending on her current star rating, and reduces target's mana by the same amount, while also increasing her own magic resistance. So the key part of that is it reduces the target's mana by how much damage she is dealing. So you can actually, especially when it gets to the end game, when you're matched up against a single opponent and you're fighting it out for the win, you can use her, line her up directly opposite a key hero that the enemy controls, someone that you don't want their ultimate to go off, and she can actually help postpone that or even completely neutralize it until that hero has been killed, which can definitely change the outcome of games. So that is one that you want to keep in mind. Nightingale, she's an elf punisher. She works quite well just as a standalone punisher, but obviously she's required in this particular build as we level up there, and we'll chuck her back in for now. But yeah, this Nightingale, that passive ability is so strong. So you would just, if you knew where your opponent was because you're in the final 2, you just pop her directly opposite that hero that you wanted to shut down, and she will, if not completely neutralize that hero, she will definitely delay that hero's ability from triggering, which can definitely swing the tide of that battle and help you get the win. So that is one thing to keep in mind. There are other heroes that have stuns and things, but she's the one that is most specifically targeted to shutting down a single opposition hero. So if you do have Nightingale in your composition, that is definitely something to keep in mind in terms of positioning. Now, obviously, we've gone over keeping assassins in the back line. You don't have to do that, but the further away from the enemy they are, then the more likely they are to jump to the back line, and often having them jump to the back line can be really, really beneficial. Let's spin a couple of times. There's another misfortune. There is a guru. And then I will level up once. So I don't think there are any legendary demons, so we're not looking for any legendary demons. No, there are not. We don't actually, we could actually replace one of our warlocks with Void Doom if I'm able to get him. So once again, once I get to level 10, I'll have the most chance of pulling him. And as we can see, we are dominating really well. Now, obviously, we're playing against bots. We're not playing against other humans. And our current build is super, super strong. So that is definitely to be expected. Let's equip those items. Make sure we're always doing that. I just put 3 hits into our level there. I'm going to save Guru. I might end up using her on Misfortune. But I could use, no, Misfortune's more powerful, but if I do get Void Doom, a couple of Void Dooms, and I'll use Guru on him. So now what I'm going to do is let's try out a different recommended formation. Let's go in and do the snake formation, and let's see how this turns out for us. Now, looking at this, Misfortune's on the front line. Now, this is an interesting thing in terms of positioning, and it's especially important later in the game. Not only is a hero dealing, not only does when a hero deal damage, it increases its mana, but when it takes damage, it also increases its mana. So there's a fine balance between positioning your units so that they're actually taking some damage as well as dealing damage, so that they maximize the amount of mana that they're earning. So you can see that that's going to be really useful. And because of his ability, I'm actually going to move him over one spot. He has an ultimate that basically sends out lines of fire across the board. But if he's not in the middle, it's not as effective. So we actually want to make sure that he's positioned as close to the middle as possible. Misfortune, I might move her out just a little bit so she doesn't get killed too quickly. Level or 1-star heroes are a little bit vulnerable to dying before they get their ability off. So we'll watch her here. You can see her mana bar going up there. She gets her ability off and then she dies. So that was perfect timing. You want to make sure all your units are getting their abilities off before they die. Although that being said, we did just lose to player 2. Player 2 is rocking a furry warrior build. And to be fair, that's probably poor positioning because given the current composition of my team, it doesn't have a whole ton of real tanky units. We've got tons of, let's just go ahead and we wasted 4 mana crystals there, but let's just max that out. We've got 10 units on the board. Let's go back in and try a different formation. Let's try the V formation this time around, and we're going to actually make some changes. So once again, we want him in the middle. We don't want Misfortune in the middle. The assassin on the back is fine. We're going to have these two on the back actually. I was about to move Lilith back one again, but the reason that I put those two on the back is because they have kind of ranged attacks, especially Famine. She can basically hit anyone on the... Not quite, but she gets most of the board from her position, so having her on the back and protecting her because she deals a lot of damage. And that's another tip in terms of working out which of your units are the ones that deal most damage. You've got that DPS counter on the left there, and you can see for me, it's actually this guy here, the Nether Prince, deals most of my damage. You'll always see him at the top. Ooh, this is really good. We get 2-star Executioner and 2-star Misfortune. We're not going to worry about the second Misfortune there. Let's go ahead and try... Whoops. I wasn't trying to do that, but we will still look for Void Doom. Let's go ahead and try the fish scale, and you can see that the positioning has actually changed a little bit now that we've got 10 heroes on the board. Let's see how this works for us. Once again, the game does a pretty good job of placing these in positions that you want them. I was a little bit late. I was gonna swap Nether Prince to the middle so that, let's watch him. When he does his ult, you'll see that, bang, there it goes. And because he was on the left-hand side of the board, it wasn't as effective as it could have been. So once you learn the various heroes that you're using, you'll definitely get better at knowing where to position them. So I am definitely going to swap him out so he's in a more central location, but we won that one so easily. Now we're up against another creep round. Let's spin and see if I can find myself Void Doom. We'll definitely level up him as well. So we're still looking for Void Doom. There's another Guru, so I'm going to use one of them for him, and I'll replace her, and I can sell her off. Actually we have someone we can equip that defensive armor to that it's suited to. I was going to pop it on him, but that's all right. I think it's on our Executioner. Yeah, it is. So let's just keep spinning a little bit, looking for... Wrong legendary, not to worry. You can see that we're doing quite decently against the creeps. We've maxed out the piercing dagger on the Nether Prince, so that is going to be absolutely insane. He's going to be generating even more damage. You will see him at the top of my DPS leaderboard there by even more now. We're not having any luck looking for Void Doom. We might just spin through down to 30, so I still get some interest. Nothing yet. We're almost down to the final 2. Let's go ahead now and try. We'll go back to the turtle formation, see what that does for us now. We've got another item we can equip there. You can see here that this is definitely much better in terms of protecting units. Ooh, all of our units did just get silenced though, and they're all being affected by that area of effect silence. So that is definitely a downside of stacking all of your units in one corner. We do get that win there. We're not up against any sorcerer builds at this point in time, so I'm less worried about having all my units on one side of the board. But when all those little speech bubbles come up with the dots, that means your unit is silenced. It means it can't use its ability, which is very, very annoying when all of your heroes all of a sudden get silenced like that. So you definitely have to be careful of that in terms of positioning. Still not finding Void Doom. Not to worry, we'll keep searching. We're almost down to the final 2, and then we'll be able to look at direct positioning. But definitely these various recommended formations. Even if you don't apply them, they give you some really good ideas on how to combat various opponents that you're up against. And a lot of the time I'll spend here looking at builds, and if I see multiple people, as I said, building sorcerers, then I'll try and split my units. If I've got lots of tanky units, I'm having them at the front to try and engage the enemy as quickly as possible. If I've got lots of range units or lots of low health but high damage units, we didn't actually get the 2v2 because the game ended. But what I am going to do is I'm going to, before I wrap up this video, I'm actually going to end it with a little bit of a commentary on a video. So let me go ahead and bring that video up, and it's all about positioning. It's a turbo game that this is in, and the positioning battle at the very end was really interesting. So I'll have that showing just up here, I believe. Have I got my finger in the right spot? Yeah. And I'll clip through to where it starts, where we're down to the final two opponents. So just let me skip through the creep round here. Okay, so we've got it up. We've got two opponents left. Two opponents left, just searching for a final couple of heroes to level up. Not getting anything there. And then we're going to be up against this last player. You can see that I'm actually on 2 health, so I'm not doing too well. We've got that turtle corner formation, and they're using the fish scale formation along the back line. We're running 6 sorcerers, 2 voids, 4 humans, 2 undead, 2 riders, and 2 warlocks. And you can see how effective our positioning is there. Because so many of my units are low health but high damage, I needed them all stacked in that corner to protect them. And then there's nothing that my opponent can do, basically. They can't get through. Now, they do have a General of War, which is a really strong area of effect and stun unit, but he just doesn't have enough area of effect damage to get through my line of protection to hit all of my key units. And I've kind of stacked them up. I've got units at the front that I want to get their abilities off really quickly, and units that have high HP to act as tanks, and all of my low health units that can deal area of effect damage over any distance in the back corner, being completely protected. And you see there that I completely dominate that battle. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for checking it out. It's definitely been a long one, much longer than my normal videos, but positioning is quite a tricky thing to wrap your head around in auto battler type games. Chess Rush is so much fun, but you definitely are a lot better at it when you understand the basics of positioning. There's way more strategy to it, and there are other YouTubers out there that will be able to give more in-depth strategy in terms of positioning, especially if you're playing high-ranked games. But in terms of a general overview, this is the core elements of positioning, everything you need to understand, the way assassins work, the way your various different types of corner formations, snake formations, those various names work, and why and when you would need to use them. So thank you so much for checking out this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any future content, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it.